What is up, YouTube? It's P Dons here, and we are back with another episode of View from the Office, where I break down Steph's recent WBE match and see what she did right, see what she did wrong, and see what we could do better. This week she played against Sierra Dawn of the Toronto Maple Mews, and both teams were 0-4 going into this week. So one of them was going to get their first win. They also both had Cinderace, and there were a lot of other parallels that if you want to know them, you can watch our both sides and our team builder. So we are going to jump into this and start analyzing.
Today's going to be very special and quite interesting. This week we are going up against Sierra and the Toronto Maple Mews, and this is a really spicy week because me and Sierra, we have this linked connection going on. That's actually very funny. So first and foremost,
As you guys can see
Sierra
here,
and I
we
are
actually
kind of both
left
in the
the
same
Riolo
boat when it comes
behind,
to our standings in the WBE. I
so
think Sierra's a
this is going to be an
fantastic battler. I think
interesting
she's
one.
gotten some terrible luck this season, and I've
Yeah,
had my fair share of misplays and bad luck as well.
we
But
both have had
no
bad
matter
luck,
who
Steph.
wins or
But
loses
anyway,
today,
I'm gonna jump
still
ahead
got this
to the
streak is going.
match.
Battle begin. All right, let's see what we've got going on. I'm gonna make sure I take good notes, and we really gotta ask ourselves questions. Win con. What are our long-term win cons? Does that Cinderace have the safety goggles? I'm really curious about that. Okay, I'm also gonna make sure this is set. Okay.
Yeah. So in practice, we were very concerned that either Cinderace or Talonflame would have safety goggles. If Cinderace had safety goggles, it could potentially do a lot of damage to us with high jump kicks on our Snorlax or Rhydon. Even potentially Cinderace. Also, if Talonflame had safety goggles, it was very possible that we would not be able to redirect a Will-O-Wisp or a Taunt. So we were very concerned about that in practice, and we did practice against both variants. Though we kind of thought that Cinderace was slightly a more likely candidate going into the match.
So the Bisharp came around, huh?
Yeah, we heavily prepped for Trevenant
We really didn't think was gonna come. We
because
don't have Pokeball, and we also have our Snorlax to
basically
help with it.
Quagsire
So,
weak
all
4 times weak to
right,
grass,
this is
Rhydon 4
quite
times weak to grass,
fascinating here.
Snorlax can't hit it with its
Okay, the
stab,
Talonflame is definitely good. So I
Toxtricity,
think this is
resist
the
it.
event that there's a Talonflame Cinderace,
Yeah,
so we're gonna go with
we were definitely
Cinderace.
surprised,
We're
but
gonna go with
fine with
Tail
Bisharp coming to this one.
and Snorlax. I think this is how we want to start our battle. We've got some time to think there. Yeah, there is the Blastoise. I really got to pay attention. It's probably safety goggles. But we're gonna have to really see how this goes.
Yeah,
So I think we just
there I think
have
Steph
fun.
combined like two thoughts into one. She was
Yeah,
definitely thinking of safety
we gotta
goggles,
go.
but we never thought Blastoise
We
was
have
gonna have
got
safety
to
goggles.
go with the flow. Oh my goodness. Okay. We're gonna keep our cool. As always, feel the good vibes. I'm just ready to have a good time. Also, Sierra, I love this trainer card. This is not our first time that we've battled, and I love it every single time. Just being on top of the Wailord like a champion. Oh, it's so good. Okay, pay attention to speed tiers. So, does Talonflame come out? Yes! Okay. Alright. We see Talonflame, and
Yeah, so this was pretty much the exact lead we prepped for in practice, and pretty much the exact lead we wanted. With the Cinderace this week, we were comfortable Dynamaxing it. We ran it as a naive nature with both Pyro Ball, Iron Head to take advantage of some of the physical things it could do. And if we got the chance, we could Dynamax it. But we also used Scorching Sands in order to help against the Dracozolt. Max Quake and Scorching Sands both good against Dracozolt. If we were able to hit the Dracozolt with a Max Quake when it had not Dynamaxed, it would one-shot. So Cinderace was definitely a viable max candidate this week, but our strategy more focused on Snorlax this week. So, so Cinderace was always more likely to play a supporting role, and the faint Scarf Toxtricity combo would allow us to, in theory, get rid of any 4 HP Talonflame. Getting rid of Talonflame would be very huge because besides the Tailwind, we don't know the item, and it also can carry Will-O-Wisp and Taunt, which can both mess up our Snorlax strategy. So getting rid of the Talonflame, more so for just not just for Tailwind, but for everything that it could do, was paramount. And it was actually worth, in practice, trading the Cinderace to do so.
Draco boy. Alright, here's where we really surprise the heck out of Sierra. Do I want to Volt Switch here? Instead of Overdrive. Because it's the Dracozolt. Yeah, we're gonna Volt Switch here. Okay. Okay, Dracozolt. Dynamaxes. Here we go. Big heckin' boy. There's the fate! Ooh! That does a lot of damage for us, actually. She knows I'm Life Orb now. And there's the Volt Switch!
Yeah, so we did not expect the Talonflame to survive that. I'm actually going to take a second to move myself over here for the video. We did not expect the Talonflame to survive that. It turned out to be, I think, 174 HP, which is over 100 or so EVs into HP. Basically, it was I went back and forth on this, and I think this was still actually a good play by Steph that just didn't work out. We still had as it turns out, an over 50% chance to KO that Talonflame. Also, the Cinderace was always the likely target of a potential Max Wormwind, and by doing so, Steph's able to Volt Switch into the Tangela, and then once the Cinderace probably goes down to Wormwind, we've burned one of Sierra's Dynamax turns, and the Snorlax would be able to come in. With the Tangela being sashed, that's another guaranteed hit into it, and then the second Mon would probably also have to hit into the Tangela, which means Snorlax gets a free Belly Drum. And then we have an end game of Toxtricity and Snorlax at +6, and the Snorlax ready to Dynamax. It is very possible the Dracozolt might even take the third KO on the Toxtricity there, but the +5 Snorlax gets in a position where it is probably sweeping Sierra. So I think this ended up being a very good play for Steph that just didn't work out. And sometimes in this game, this stuff happens.
Ooh, I should have overdrive. Should have overdrive. Should have overdrived. It's okay.
Still like the way she's switching into Tangela. Cinderace is still a possible max candidate. So if the Tangela gets attacked here, it's we can always Dynamax the Cinderace. Okay, so that ended up being unexpected, but we're based on our board positioning, it's still reasonable to bring in the Snorlax.
Greedy there.
and to set up the belly drum stuff, and the Talonflame isn't putting on too much offensive pressure.
That's
So,
Life Orb, right?
at least on paper, this is still reasonable for us.
Okay. Belly drum. Rage powder. I wish I just overdrived. That was so silly of me.
Right, so Rage Powder is obviously correct
Well,
here.
we have to find out.
And as it turns out, the Talonflame did pack safety goggles. We did prep for this, so Steph is able to recognize this instantly, which is good.
Wisp on Snorlax means that Talonflame is safety goggles.
And we
Which
do
is
get the
okay
belly
for
drum
us,
set
I
up
think.
here still. So I mean, even burned, our position isn't bad.
All right. Rage powder here. I think we're doing okay. I'm really sad that I didn't just overdrive that turn 1. We might be burned, but we got this belly drum, so we're still +3. And if there's something I learned from my practice is that +3 Snorlax is still a monster.
That's right, Steph. Yeah, the Snorlax, potentially on hustle misses or berry recoveries should be able to close out this game.
That miss was huge!
And yeah, the dual wing beat miss was
Oh my
actually
god! You
huge
know what makes up for that result,
because
doesn't
the
it?
Talonflame
Wow!
missing the dual wing beat meant the Dracozolt had to hit the Tangela instead of the Snorlax. This is still a lot of
Oh,
damage.
that's a bulky heckin' boy.
It's just too bad we didn't get the berry there.
Okay, so we gotta be careful here. Because does the Dracozolt switch out into Trevenant? In which case that is going to suck kind of a lot.
Yeah, so
Or we can just let it
we
go down
practiced so much
and get
against
burned.
Trevenant that Steph kind of thought in this situation that Sierra brought it. Uh,
Okay, I'm going to not
the, the
call it. I'm not
the
going
the
to
game was
overthink it.
recorded
I
at
was
1
way
a.m.
too
So
cautious
so I guess
to
they
just
weren't
overdrive.
they weren't totally on their game, but it's all right.
Oh god!
Yes, that's right. There was one turn left to Tailwind.
I wish I had overdrived, but that's okay.
Yeah. Had Steph recognized that there was one turn of Tailwind left, she might have been able to guess that a Bolt Beak would go into the Snorlax. Uh, the toxicity, for the most part, wasn't going to be the one to close this game out. It was always going to be Snorlax. So, in theory, she could have max guarded to keep the Snorlax around, and then Sludge Bomb the Dracozolt in order to guarantee the KO. Had she gone for Overdrive, that also could have worked, with the max guard because she would at least take out the Talonflame. She would have a chance to take out the Dracozolt. But if the Dracozolt didn't go down, then either Cinderace or Blastoise would come in. Obviously she didn't know this, but maybe Bisharp or Clefairy, and the Overdrive could have done some decent damage to them. What she had to worry about if she did that, if she went for the Sludge Bomb play, was Follow Me from a potential Clefairy, uh, and also it, if she went for Overdrive, she would get the two KOs. But Blastoise could always come in and potentially fake out, and then Cinderace would be able to easily high jump kick the Snorlax. So it was a risk to attack, it was a risk to protect, but I do think her optimal play was to max guard the Snorlax, and if she thought the Bisharp was in the back, to Overdrive. If she thought the Bisharp wasn't in the back, to Sludge Bomb. Basically, had she max guarded here, I think she is in a slightly better position. Fortunately, the Life Orb recoil means the Dracozolt also goes down to this Overdrive, so it becomes a 2-on-1.
Tailwind's gone.
Alright, so if the Blastoise has Fake Out here, the game's over.
We're locked into Overdrive here. Depending on what this item is, if Blastoise is faster or not,
Also, Timid
we
Choice
might
Scarf
actually be able
Blastoise would
to
have been an issue.
win this game.
Right, so it turns out this Pyro Ball is
So
99% accurate because Sierra is using Wide Lens.
Miss?
And then
Oh.
the Scald will unfortunately finish
Oh,
off
you're
Steph for
so
game one.
close.
As it turns out, there were universes where Steph survived that double up and then overdrive the next turn to win. Uh, if you guys look at this, it did 121 damage to Steph. So it was one of the higher rolls that Sierra could have gotten on the Pyro Ball, which turned the Scald into a guaranteed one shot. Had it been down here, maybe like 115, one of these rolls, then surviving the Scald becomes realistic, and it's very possible that Steph gets the second overdrive off and is able to win game one. We had also debated going max special attack and max timid special attack because we needed the timid speed to guarantee the outspeed on Talonflame. But we had discussed a timid max special attack, and fortunately, it turns out it wouldn't have mattered. This is a doubles calc, so even in electric terrain, with the spread that Sierra had, there was no way the Toxtricity was KOing the Blastoise without a crit, and obviously Cinderace would not go down to an overdrive without being crit as well. So the defensive spreads we rolled out for the Toxtricity were fine. The damage we did in that situation was fine. We just didn't get the benefit of an addition of a damage roll that could have helped us. Um, I think once again, if Steph had max guarded the Snorlax, we would have had a better chance to win this endgame. But anyway, let's move on to game two.
We were so close. Okay. Play with the same rules. So Talonflame has safety goggles. Interesting. Crap, I'm so annoyed. Ooh, I'm not actually annoyed, but I'm upset with myself that I didn't just overdrive there. That would have.
Okay, so in practice, we determined that Cinderace and Toxtricity was a good lead for game one. We had thought that the KO would go onto the Talonflame, and Sierra would be forced to adjust. Um, she definitely knows about this combo now. So one of the things we had also potentially discussed was a Rhydon Tangela lead game two, because if the Talonflame wasn't safety goggles, that's basically a guaranteed sleep powder. It basically prevents the max lightning from going up, and Talonflame shouldn't be able to do much to the Rhydon, and based on the way we EV'd the Tangela, we survived the dual wing beat basically 100% of the time, unless she's adamant banned, which we definitely were not expecting. Um, the fact that the Talonflame had safety goggles definitely threw a wrench into that kind of plan. I think here, uh, basic, basically, we were playing a game where we were kind of giving up the tailwind and like speed control. So I can understand Cinderace, Toxtricity, Tangela, and Snorlax again. I think it might have been a little bit better to sack the Cinderace and just lead like maybe not so much lead the Rhydon, but Rhydon being in the back would be something that would help us late game. Essentially, it would allow us to protect Snorlax from Bolt Beak, which especially in terrain would be the most difficult attack to deal with for Snorlax. We also could have potentially brought Quagsire as our fourth over Cinderace. The way Steph was playing, we were getting in positions where we could essentially wall things. Like the Snorlax would go up, we would be able to take a few knockouts, burn the Dynamax, and if we get down to the Cinderace Blastoise endgame, Quagsire could actually win that. Like we were running a max defense relaxed Quagsire with recover and toxic. So the Quagsire definitely could have won that if Steph positioned it right. And potential Scalds, Water Spouts, and stuff would do nothing from the Blastoise since we ran Water Absorb. So I probably would have sacrificed Cinderace for one of the two ground types in this mat in game two,
Been
but
so
but at
good.
the same time,
Okay.
Steph was very
All right,
close
how
to
do we
winning
how do we have
game
to
one.
think? How did she
So
adjust for that toxicity? Did she
like
not bring the
I
Talonflame at
can
all?
argue bringing like leaving Cinderace behind, but I understand why she brings it.
But that means the Cinderace doesn't have the life orb. Oh, I need to make sure I adjust properly. Okay, what happens if I go Snorlax Tangela, right? I think we still go with that. We were very, very close, but it was kind of a bulky. Do you think that must have been AV Blastoise, huh? It had to have been to not get knocked out like that. Okay.
Yeah, in retrospect too, she actually could have gotten away with Tangela, Snorlax leading and redirecting the Dracozolt attacks, and having both ground types in the back. As I come to think about it, we
Okay,
would
same leads
we would
again.
essentially be giving up the Tailwind and easier way to KO Talonflame,
You don't
but the Talonflame
fully
had no
stop this
offensive
lead,
pressure,
I
so
don't think. All right, Faint. Overdrive. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing again, and Overdrive is going to kill this thing, hopefully. And now we can
this is
stall
fine
out
too.
the Dracozolt. I'm okay with that.
Alright, so the Feint goes off, then the Overdrive, and
Yeah.
Sierra loses Tailwind, Will-O-Wisp, and
Talonflame's
Taunt.
gone. Oh, that was a crit. Nice crit.
Yeah, so as it turns out, we were playing in such a way that Sierra was always going to be faster anyway. But still, getting rid of the Talonflame, getting rid of the Goggles Will-O-Wisp. As it turns out, it was also Goggles Taunt. That's still a huge play. Sierra does make the right target choice there once again. So this is once again a Snorlax game.
Swap here. We take the trade. That's fine. Also, did she not bring Trevenant? She didn't, huh? So this is probably Life Orb Cinderace.
Remember, Steph, the Life Orb's on the Dracozolt.
Sleep Powder Dracozolt?
Okay, so with the way
This could
Steph
bring
has been
crit damage.
playing, I think this is a reasonable call.
Oh, maybe we get a para. That would be wild. Alright, here comes the surprise
basically,
that we're, in fact, Focus Sash Tangela.
basically Sierra wouldn't have known we were sashed,
Not fully sure.
so she would have thought the Powerball would KO,
Okay, is that into Toxtricity?
and you wouldn't max Lightning at
Nice.
Toxtricity most likely, unless you
Do
were
we
very
get-
concerned about Sleep Powder.
Do we get
But you think the
Sleep
Powerball is
Powder
going to
off? This
KO
would be so good for us.
the Tangela anyway, so I understand Sierra's play there, and I understand Steph's play of going for the Sleep Powder, which is very good. Alright, so once again, a Snorlax game.
So now we get to Rage Powder.
Rage Powder is obviously correct here.
Free Belly Drum.
Get the free belly
I
drum
told
off.
you guys that I would bring Snorlax's potential out. Okay, we're looking pretty good. We're forcing Cinderace.
Yeah, that would have been nice if it missed, but with Sierra's item, it was really not missing.
Into Tangela. Cinderace uses...
Okay, so we have our 3-on-1 again, but the Snorlax isn't burned, and we're about to get a belly drum off.
Now, I probably have to be really careful, huh? Nice. I'm gonna go for the Protect here. Yeah.
Yeah, so this was my biggest problem of the whole of the entire set. I definitely understand why Steph went for the protect. Like getting damage off on the Cinderace into a potential high jump kick would have been nice. But if you look up here, the Cinderace's health is still green. So that means that the Cinderace has more than 50% of its health left. Meaning that if it crashes with high jump kick, it is still going to be alive next turn. In this position, the Dracozolt is asleep. The sleep turns have not been burned, and you have a +6 Snorlax on the field. Essentially, you are going to be in trouble when the Dracozolt wakes up because it can still do a lot of damage to our Snorlax even with the bulk we have in it. Uh, the high jump kick, like it's not going to be insignificant damage, but we were EV'd to I think it would have done about 30 to 35% while Dynamaxed. So this turn, you do not waste the sleep turns the Dracozolt has. You accept the fact that you're going to get high jump kicked because the Cinderace can't KO itself with high jump kick this turn, like with a high jump kick miss. So you absolutely G-Max here and go for the G-Max move into the Cinderace to knock it out. This was by far Steph's biggest misplay of the entire week. If the Cinderace was in yellow health, then this becomes an interesting mind game. That's where you consider maybe protecting to have the Cinderace crash over you and take the KO that way. But in a 1-on-3 with the Snorlax that you have and the game state, you have to have offensive pressure every turn. A protect in this instance is passive. It lets the Dracozolt have a chance to wake up, and once that Dracozolt wakes up, we are going to have a problem. Now, the only reason I'm not saying take out the Dracozolt now is because we might need to rely on a hustle miss or sleep turns in order to close out the game. If the Cinderace is consistently doing 33% a turn, and it can pair up with the Blastoise potentially in the back, then Steph is potentially taking 2 attacks instead of 1 on the turn. And as bulky as Snorlax is, I'm not sure if it has the ability to survive that. By taking out the Cinderace first, you ensure that the Dracozolt is not moving. So essentially, Sierra is only getting 1 Mon attacking per turn. Then probably the Blastoise comes in, and you then go after the Dracozolt because it's now a 2-on-1, and the Dracozolt is the bigger threat. You hope that the Dracozolt stays asleep. If it doesn't, you maybe get a hustle miss, and who knows, maybe get a low roll as well, and the Snorlax can potentially survive that, and maybe even get the berry back with the G-Max move. Essentially, this end game came down to being able to exploit a 1v1 situation with Snorlax versus whatever Mons Sierra had by keeping the Dracozolt asleep for as long as we needed to in order to get down to that 1v1. So Steph optimally would be using her G-Max turns to and the Dracozolt sleep turns, I might add, to KO the Cinderace, followed by the Dracozolt, followed by the last Mon, which is probably Blastoise. By protecting here to get the high jump kick damage on the Cinderace, which wouldn't even have KO'd. That was Steph's biggest misplay of this week, and it's something that she'll learn from. So I do like the outside the box thinking from Steph to get the Cinderace damage on that turn, but the game position here showed that it wasn't the time or place to do so.
Yeah. And hopefully high jump kick comes in. No, it was Pyro Ball. Smart.
All right, there goes one sleep turn. All right,
Okay.
based on the fact that she didn't target the Dracozolt, or I mean the Cinderace on the Dracozolt's
I
guaranteed
really
turn
wanted
of
to bait
sleep,
out that high jump kick again.
I probably would go after the Dracozolt here. As damaging as high jump kick could be, you still get the berry back
Oh,
potentially,
man.
and Dracozolt is such a huge offensive threat that it
It
has
would
to
be
go.
really cool if we could go to a game 3. It would be so, so cool. Miss. Okay, we're
Yeah,
alive. Please,
that Bolt
please
Beak
give
was
me my
so
berry
strong.
back. Please give me the berry back. Please give me the berry back. Gods, please, 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 please. Berry. I don't think that was the berry.
Yeah.
We really need a hustle miss.
So as it turns out here, we would have been in a little more trouble even with Hustle Miss. The Blastoise has Body Press.
Oh, we were
I
so
don't
close.
know if it would have done 77 damage to the Snorlax we had. I'm guessing probably would have, but if it didn't, we
Oh,
still could have
man.
potentially won this by getting the berry back
Yeah, that's it.
and the Hustle Miss, obviously.
Oh,
So
man.
overall, there were there was a lot of good from Steph
Me
this week.
see.
There
Me see.
were
Uh,
th- there were a few small things that weren't the best, but the situation with the Snorlax, Cinderace, and a Sleep Dracozolt was the biggest problem. I can definitely understand the Sierra winning game one after we couldn't KO the Talonflame immediately. Even though Steph I felt made a good play there. Uh, Game two, if Steph Dynamaxes that turn instead of protects and takes out the Cinderace, we still probably have enough health to deal with a quick wake up from the Dracozolt. We still can probably take it out, and we still probably survive the Blastoise. So essentially, by protecting on that turn, Steph kind of costed the game. This definitely could have gone to a game three, and had that gone to a game three, I think with the way the set was being played, I go Snorlax and Tangela immediately. We accept the fact that we get burned, but we set up a belly drum, and then probably the Eviolite Rhydon comes in once the Tangela goes down, and and hmm, actually I'm trying to think. We I do think we definitely want the ground types. I do think we want the Tangela and the Snorlax leading. It's just that the safety goggles does make it tough. Um, I'll say maybe even Quagsire might have been a Dynamax option for Game Three. As crazy as that sounds, like the once you burn out the Dracozolt, you can. Quagsire is still doing decent offensive pressure with its stab attacks to the Talonflame, the Dracozolt, Cinderace. The Blastoise can't hit it that well. The Bisharp would go down to the Max Quake. Um, Actually, I probably would have gone. I probably would have done Cinderace Tangela. Probably would have done the Belly Drum. If the Talonflame missed the Will-O-Wisp, but you know what? Taunt also wasn't revealed, and we actually would have been dealing with Taunt, and with safety goggles, that's something to think about as well. So yeah, game three would have been very interesting. Essentially, what I'm saying is we probably needed some way to rely on the ground types a little more. So maybe like a Toxtricity and t- t- maybe Toxtricity and Quagsire actually. The hmm, yeah. Honestly, game three would have been tough, and I think yeah, there still would have been merit to even Cinderace and Toxtricity. So we would have to figure out what would happen in that kind of a game three because we essentially we identified even as early as week one that this matchup with Dracozolt would be very difficult. We essentially traded for the Rhydon to round out our team, but we had this specific week in mind when it came to getting the Rhydon. Um, also the like 11th hour trade we did with Zoe to get the Quagsire was also for this matchup. We essentially had to have ways to stop the Dracozolt, and in some ways we kind of did. So I I I would have been interested to see how Steph would have approached a potential game three, as well as how Sierra might have approached a potential game three. Because honestly, it's it's not totally obvious to me how I would have approached it myself, because the burns plus the max worm wins actually would have caused Snorlax a problem. Um, maybe maybe with a maybe he could have done Tangela and the Snorlax, switch out to Quagsire and go for a quick sleep powder on the Dracozolt, and then make the Quagsire your Dynamax option with the Snorlax as bait. Um, yeah, if you get the appropriate sleep turns, the the Quagsire is able to take out the Dracozolt. Your worst case, you stall out the Dynamax, and you potentially have the Tangela and the Snorlax for the late game, where you could set up a late game belly drum. So come to think of it, Snorlax and Tangela for a game three lead probably. Sleep out of the Dracozolt because Sierra probably targets down the Snorlax with a Taunt or Will-O-Wisp. So if you sleep out of the Dracozolt, you probably get it, and then switch out for the Quagsire. If the Quagsire goes down, well, the Dracozolt's probably asleep. You can bring in the Rhydon, Rock Slide the Talonflame, and protect the Tangela potentially. And then and then you know what? It still becomes a complicated end game. But if you're able to set up the Snorlax with a belly drum, you we're able to potentially sweep, especially if we get rid of the Talonflame. Um, there after this week, we're 0-5 unfortunately, and I think I I think Steph has played not the best overall Pokemon in WBE, but I don't think she's played 0-5 Pokemon. So it it really does suck to see that with all the work she's putting in, she's 0-5. We've we've actually made some changes. So, uh, those changes will be communicated to Steph in her own video. I'm not gonna spoil them, but as, as essentially the back half of the season, we are gonna try a different approach, and we will be able to get Steph some wins. I truly believe that. So yeah, I've been going on for 45 minutes. I think this is a good time to stop. Once again, this is P Dons, and I will see you guys later.